This is Matt Boys from La La Land Records, and you've entered the La La Land Lounge on GeekCast Radio, where soundtracks live.
You're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network. Unleash the Geek in You.
Hello folks, TFG and Mike here, and welcome to a special episode of GeekCast Radio. This is going to be a special here and there kind of thing. We're calling it the La La Land Lounge. I did this segment over on Altered Geek for a couple of episodes. I'm turning it into its own thing here on GeekCast Radio. Basically what this is if you enjoy film soundtracks, TV soundtracks, video game soundtracks, specifically scores, instrumental music from film, TV, cartoons, movies, music, all that stuff. Not music. Anyway, La La Land Records is a soundtrack company. I've been doing written reviews for them for 3 years now, and I needed to change it up, needed to do something a little different. So we're going to give you little snippets of various things, and I'm going to give my thoughts on various things. I might have guests on here. I'm taking the first two segments that I did on Altered Geek and putting them in this episode. You're going to hear myself talk about Green Lantern, the Animated Series Volume 1, 2-disc soundtrack, and the ThunderCats 2-disc soundtrack from La La Land Records, ThunderCats 2011, cartoon that they put out. And then you'll hear myself and John Takis, I forget how he pronounces his name, talking about Batman, Mystery of the Batwoman. So that's what's going to be happening here in this first segment. If you like this, please let me know. I am at TFG1Mike on Twitter. I do plan on doing more of these. They're probably going to be once a month, maybe. Most likely here on the GeekCast Radio feed. I'm not exactly sure just yet. It just depends. I know I've got several things in my back catalog that I would love to talk about. As I said, I've been doing this for La La Land Records, the written reviews for 3 years now, so LalaLandRecords.com. Head on over there to get all the soundtracks you want, folks, because that's where soundtracks live. Up first, Green Lantern, the Animated Series, and ThunderCats 2011 score reviews.
These guys at the GCRN would make great Green Lantern Corps members. Seriously. Who are these guys?
Thank you so much, Mr. Josh Keaton, as the voice of Hal Jordan in Green Lantern, the Animated Series. My name is TFG1Mike. Welcome to the La La Land Lounge here on Altered Geek. And as I said last week in episode 136 of Altered Geek, the La La Land Lounge is going to be my way of bringing you guys soundtrack reviews from the soundtrack label La La Land Records, where soundtracks live. Now, originally, I was going to do Batman, Mystery of the Batwoman this week as my first review here inside the La La Land Lounge on Altered Geek. But looking back through my soundtrack reviews on GeekCastRadio.com, I noticed that Altered Geek would be going up on May the 6th. So I looked at the soundtrack reviews that I've done over the last 3 years for La La Land Records, and I realized, hey, I reviewed Green Lantern, the Animated Series Volume 1, and ThunderCats 2011 score from La La Land Records 3 years ago as of yesterday, May 5th. So I figured, hey, why not do an anniversary recording? I will be doing Mystery of the Batwoman for next week. I've already got that recorded. So, folks, La La Land Records, back in 2013, released Green Lantern, the Animated Series Volume 1. This is a single-disc release. It is 36 tracks, and even now, going back and listening to it, I gotta say, I really dig this music. It is awesome, epic. I went back and I watched a few episodes of the GLTAS series in preparation for recording this, And wow, I mean, the music is amazing in the show, and it's amazing to listen to it outside of the show. I just absolutely love it. I remember when I first got the CDs 3 years ago when I was listening to the GLTAS score, I couldn't stop listening to it. I had it on loop, nonstop. Just couldn't stop listening to it. Absolutely love it. I remember when I first got the GLTAS score from LALA LAND Records, it was a composer by the name of Frederick Wiedemann, and I never heard of the guy. So I did some research and didn't really help at the time. But since then, since 2013, this guy has been on fire with the DC stuff. He did GLTAS Volume 2, of course, because he was the composer on that series. He did Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, Justice League Throne of Atlantis. He's done a lot of stuff for LALA LAND Records and the DC animated stuff. But when I first heard him, I'm like, who is this guy? Immediately, right off the bat, as soon as I started listening to this again, what grabs me is the main title of this, which is the Green Lantern theme. And he put together an amazing theme, folks. The main theme is 36 seconds. It is so very, very cool. Other tracks that I like from Volume 1 of the release here, Razor Saves Kilowog, Rescue Mission, St. Walker's Destiny, Red Empire, I Am Mogo. I Am Mogo because in this series, it's Kevin Michael Richardson voicing Mogo, and it's just so awesome. The theme behind it is just great. Aya's Mission. What's cool about the Green Lantern, the animated series score here, the Volume 1, is how much Frederick Wiedemann put into the music. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure the guy worked his butt off for it, but just how much of actual musicianship, if that's even a word, is in each track. I mean, a lot of these tracks, like the main theme, Green Lantern main theme, that's 36 seconds. It always surprises me when certain composers, doesn't matter who they are, get in so much in just that amount of time. Just absolutely love it. If you were a fan of the Green Lantern animated series on Cartoon Network, you owe it to yourself to check out this score from LALA LAND Records. It is currently out of print on their website. But if you got it when it initially released, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Listening to this music again and watching a couple of the episodes to prep for this, like I said, really makes me want to go through and watch all 26 episodes again now. Can't recommend it enough. Absolutely love all of the musical instruments that are used, the different inflections. In a lot of these tracks, there are backing vocals, like, I don't want to be inaccurate here, but the closest thing I can think of is something like a Choir of Angels kind of thing. That's really the only thing I can compare it to. But some of the backing vocals on it are just simply amazing in some of the tracks. You owe it to yourself to check this one out, folks. You really, really do.
Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight.
Alright, folks, so I just gave you the rundown on Green Lantern, the animated series, Volume 1 from LALA LAND Records. I'm back once again to talk about the ThunderCats. In 2011, Cartoon Network launched a one-season, 26-long episode series, ThunderCats, a reimagining of the original 1980s property. And in 2012, Kevin Kleisch, I don't know how to say Kevin Kleisch's name. I assume it's Kleisch. I could be wrong. I'm sorry. 2012, LALA LAND Records released ThunderCats, the score to the television series. There are 26 tracks from all of the 26 episodes. And I remember when I originally wrote the review, and back then, my writing style, my early writing style for LALA LAND wasn't, going back and looking at some of those reviews, and oh boy, I've really improved over the last few years, but I didn't know what to think, because back then, ThunderCats was still kind of running on Cartoon Network, and now, obviously, it's no longer, and I like the series. I like certain aspects of the series. I love that Larry Kenney is the voice of King Claudius, Lion-O's father. I thought that was great. But at the time when the music came out and when the series was running on Cartoon Network, I watched the show, but I didn't really watch the show, so I went ahead and I watched all 26 episodes in order to record this, and I've been listening to the music all day long, just like I've been listening to the Green Lantern Volume 1 all day long. And I gotta say, Kevin Kleisch did an amazing job with this. The first track, ThunderCats' main opening theme, it's only 14 seconds, but there are hints of the original Bernard Hoffer theme, and then it kind of breaks into its own thing. I really dug, the homage to the original Bernard Hoffer theme. I just wish it was a little bit longer. Like I said, it's only 14 seconds for the ThunderCats main theme. Other than that, the other 24 tracks are music from each of the episodes. And I was surprised at how varied it is. It's, you have your anthemic, big battle music and that kind of stuff. And then you have like soft music. Which one is it? It's, when they introduce the characters, the Burbles in this series, it's more like a fun-loving kind of not really, it's upbeat, but it's more of whimsical. There we go. It's more whimsical than the rest of the music. And then, we get into tracks like Native Son, Trials of Lion-O Part 1, and Birth of the Blades, Curse of Rotilla, Survival of the Fittest. Hey, that's a Transformers line, folks. It's actually a title of one of these episodes. But Kevin Kleisch, the music in this that he's composing and producing, all the instruments fall in line and feel right to the music. And even listening to it outside the series, I do dig it. I don't dig it as much as I dig the Green Lantern animated series music, but it's still cool. And I'm going to be finishing up watching the ThunderCats 2011 cartoon series for an eventual Tooncast Beyond episode. But, I've watched like the first six or seven episodes at this point, and the show wasn't as bad as everyone makes it out to be. Are there things that could have been done better? Sure. But it wasn't god-awful. The music is what I come to expect from a action cartoon for this day and age. And I just absolutely thought it was a wonderful piece of work. Kevin Kleisch, I hadn't really heard of him before this. And I was looking on his website and all that, and he's really only done a few things. He did the music for the short Tangled Ever After. He's done a couple other things as well. But I'm hoping, as it goes along, the guy gets more work. Because, he did a really well done job here. There's parts of this that feel like it's the old cartoon series. And that's the coolest thing about the music, because we all know that the old Bernard Hoffer 1980s ThunderCat, I love the Thunder Tank theme from that series. I really wish LALA Land Records would release or somehow put out the original ThunderCats music, because we really do need that. But this 25 track single disc release from LALA Land Records by Kevin Kleisch is very well put together. The only problem, like the Green Lantern Volume 1, I just looked on LALA Land Records website, and the ThunderCats 2011 score is out of print as of this recording. But if you got it when it initially came out, and you're listening to it now as I'm talking to you, all of this just goes to show you that there are some 80s franchises that can be rebooted very well. And the music to this holds up still today after 3 or 4 years since ThunderCats went off the air. Absolutely love it. So, folks, that's going to do it for the La La Land Lounge this time around in episode 137 of Altered Geek. I am TFG and Mike. Join me next week when I tackle the mystery of the Batwoman. Make sure you head over to lalalandrecords.com where soundtracks live. Now, back to Steve Megatron and the rest of the episode. Alright folks, that was ThunderCats 2011 and Green Lantern the Animated Series Volume 1. I will be doing Green Lantern the Animated Series Volume 2 at some point. Now, here's Batman, Mystery of the Batwoman.
Hi, this is Kevin Conroy, and you're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network.
Hello and welcome to the La La Land Lounge here on Altered Geek Unlimited on the GeekCast Radio Network. I am TFG and Mike, and this is the second La La Land Lounge segment in Altered Geek. Last week I did Green Lantern, the Animated Series, Volume 1, and ThunderCats 2011 because it had been 3 years since I originally wrote those reviews. And I mentioned to you guys that I was originally going to be doing Batman Mystery of the Batwoman last week since La La Land Records released it about a month ago or so. And we are here now to do that. LalaLandRecords.com, where soundtracks live. Head on over there, folks. I cannot say enough good things about La La Land Records. They have a ton of stuff. This one is a little special now because I figured, oh, hey, why not, increase the output? And I have a special guest for the first time in the La La Land Lounge. I have Mr. John Takis. Hello, sir.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Yes. For those of you who do not know who or what John does and is, go back and listen to the other 2 interviews I've done with him. One for the He-Man set, and then the original one I think we were talking about Superman, weren't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Superman.
It was back when Superman the Animated Series Volume 1. So we're here to talk about Mystery of the Batwoman, and I was kind of shocked when I got the email from La La Land, because I'm on their email list, those emails that they send out saying, hey, this is what's being released, and that kind of stuff. So I'm like, oh, Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, that's awesome. And I get the disc and I look at it, and I don't even look at the original 26 tracks that make up the film's score. I just immediately see track 27 and 28 chase me, and I'm like, oh, finally, thank God.
Well, we didn't want to leave that off. It's always been a part of the home video releases, and
yes.
So yeah, we weren't about to miss that opportunity. Yeah.
No. So talk to me about working on this really quickly, working with Lola Turretmanis and the rest of the people getting this one done.
From a production standpoint, working with Lola, it came together pretty smoothly. This is a release this is a score that she's wanted to see out there for a long time. It's one of the most requested scores from the Dynamic Music Partners. When they meet fans at conventions and through correspondence, so it's something she's been keen to do for a long time. And we were looking at, projects to release, last year and things that we were going to put in development. And MV suggested this one, and we jumped on it. She had all of the high-res audio, ready to go, and so it was just a question of putting together what we felt would be, the ideal listening program for fans. And as I say, it all came together very smoothly, and it was a real pleasure to work on.
Yep. I have a long-standing hesitation to this film. There's only two things that I don't like about Mystery of the Batwoman. And luckily, Kyle Higgins, when he was on his Batman Beyond run, kind of made up for it over at DC Comics. The one thing that really, really bugs me as far as plot of the movie is the whole Bruce and Barbara relationship. Just no. And if anyone's read the Kyle Higgins Batman Beyond 2.0 or Batman Beyond Universe, whatever you're going to call it, either in single issues or trade, you'll know that I believe it was his third volume, Mark of the Phantasm, that he did, where he actually went back and told the story, basically elaborating on that one scene that's in this movie of and basically creating a relationship for them and the whole fallout between him and Dick Grayson and all that stuff. So that's the one thing that nags at me with this movie. The other thing is the Kathy Kane character, the Batwoman character, the Twala. I'm like,
the Twala.
I'm thinking, what is this, Twilight before Twilight? I'm like, what the? That's the only two things that bug me.
I was anticipating, I think the millennial idea of every generation has their own weird catchphrases. I'm not sure I ever actually heard this one in real life, but it might have been. I don't know.
This is the only place I've ever heard it. Other than that, I think the movie is very solidly put together. It's an interesting, fun story. I wasn't expecting there to be 3 Batwomen.
Oh, okay. So spoiler alert.
Because how old now? I mean,
2003, right? Yeah. I think what's interesting is that it was a fun movie. It was very self-consciously kind of moving, away, kind of bucking the whole grimdark trend. It was saying, we've had all this kind of angst and darkness, and so why don't we lighten it up a little bit? And I quote in in the notes about the producer, the director, let's have a little more fun with it. Let's bring a little more lightness back to it. Which isn't to say that it isn't it doesn't have its serious and dark elements, but it's interesting that they went in that direction. I mean, especially when you compare it to something like Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. And I think there was some backlash. I remember there was some backlash when this film came out, just because people were very primed for that kind of dark, angsty, brooding Batman story, and they got something a little more lighter. And a little less, world-shattering instead. But I think it's aged well.
Yeah, it has. Like I said, I was originally going to do this about a week ago when I first started this segment here on Altered Geek and the LALA Land Lounge and all that stuff, and I went back and I watched the movie again, and I'm like, okay. Other than my 2 gripes I've already mentioned, that it's a solid story. It introduces the Batwoman character nicely, and you even say in your notes, and this is obviously factually correct, this is the first time she was ever animated. The funny thing for me is, with the movie and the whole DC animated universe continuity versus the in-continuity of the shows and the way the show, like, you had Batman Beyond in 1999, then you had Justice League in 2001 and all that stuff. So if you just go by the continuity of the show, this technically happens before old Bruce gets the Bat Beyond suit. So I'm thinking, she kind of inspired him a little bit.
Maybe.
Because if you look at the Batwoman suit, folks, it's pretty much a gray version of the Bat Beyond suit, except it's a little bit more Dracula-esque in the mask.
It's got the red logo, yeah.
Yeah. But we are here, obviously, to talk about the music. I've had this thing on repeat for the last week. Very sensual soundtrack, because the movie has a lot of sensual points in it. The main title is real. I just love the way that opens. It's nice and soft, and it just kind of brings you into it. And then what I like about Lolita's scoring on this is that she mixes the soft tones in the action scenes very well.
Yeah, it's a very nice sound palette that she's working with in this score.
Yeah. and the different themes for each of the ladies that do Batwoman, and thank God this is, I think, the only thing Kelly Ripa did voice acting wise. Yeah,
it's a great, it's a very memorable theme. You know, I think a lot of the discussions that, you know, you go back and you read a lot of the reviews of the film, and they'll point out that theme. It's a very striking theme, and it's central to the score. It's not a hugely theme-driven score otherwise. It's you know, mood and atmosphere, but there's you know, you've got a few appearances of Shirley Walker's Batman theme. But really, it's the mystery of the Batwoman main theme is kind of the spine of the score and the album.
Mm-hmm. Now on here, because you are here and you were the album producer for this is a little bit different of a segment this week, folks, since John is here as a guest. It lists the main title, obviously, as track 1, and then on the bonus tracks it has the main title film version. So
yes,
what's the difference?
The difference is the quote of the Shirley Walker animated series theme.
Oh, okay.
Which is something that I understand they wanted to have on the screen so that the Batman theme would play when the Batman, you know, word Batman appears on the screen. For the album listen, you know, Lola wanted to present the theme in, you know, kind of its pure form, and she had a version of that, and so we used that to open the album, and then we put the film version at the end just so that the theme kind of bookends the album.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's the difference. It's only a few seconds difference.
Yeah, it's the film version is 2:13, the album version is 2:02. So I don't want to really hit a sore spot here, but doing research for this, I can't believe it's been 10 years since Shirley passed.
Can you believe it? Yeah.
I was reading your notes, and you know, because in the liner notes, which again, LALA Land Records does amazing on their liner notes, folks. They get people like John, people like Jeff Bond to write these amazing, like, I haven't seen liner notes like this in decades on any of the stuff. It's just so amazing how you guys put that together. But I was reading there and I'm like, oh wow, I can't believe it's been that long.
It's hard to believe. It'll be 10 years this November. November will be the 10th, and yeah, so certainly her presence has, you know, and her birthday was about a month ago, back in April. So yeah, Shirley's always a presence on these releases. You know, we're always, you know, thinking about the ways in which even on a release like this, she did not work on this score. This score was purely Lola Redmanis, but she does quote Shirley's theme a few times, and of course, you know, it's all part and parcel of that wonderful Batman animated series legacy.
Yeah, and you kind of have to. I mean, it's not just her quoting Shirley's theme. It's whenever Batman shows up, at least at this point in time of the DC animated universe, it has to be it's his hero theme. It's his
sure,
yeah,
theme.
You know,
it's all part of that continuity, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you look at this score and you watch the movie, look at the differences that Lola gives each of the Batwomen for their own theme. For when they're out of the costume.
When they're out of the costume, they've got kind of different. The most well-rounded is probably the Bruce and Kathy theme. The main love connection there. That's a really lovely theme, and some great woodwind performances by John Joachim.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think my favorite. Outside of, we'll talk about Chase Me here in a minute, but outside of that, I think my favorite one is probably the main title and the Bat Signal. And it's not just because the Bat Signal has the BTAS theme in it, but just anything to do with Batman's the Batmobile, the Bat Cycle, anything to do with the gadgets. It's like when LaLa Land released the Danny Elfman scores, the big Danny Elfman box a couple years ago. It's like Batmobile and Batwing themes. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll have those on. I'll put those in my library. I have this whole library list of actual, you know, licensed songs that I listen to. I'm like, I'll throw that in there just to see where and when it's going to pop up. But Mystery of the Batwoman, the score, People, regardless of how you feel about the movie, listen to the music. The music is awesome. It is very, very well done. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that it may surprise some people because there's a lot of interesting kind of depth and texture that you get on the album that's kind of obscured in the film. I've heard this from many people who've listened to it. They said, oh, gosh, I never realized it would be so engaging. It really does have a lot of, as I say, depth and good texture. I like the tracks you mentioned. I also really like some of the more romantic material, as I say, where she can kind of, spotlight some of those solo woodwinds. I like the big kind of epic confrontation with Bane, that Bane's demise, where, it brings the chorus into it, and this is kind of huge music. I mean, it was one of it may be Lolita's first big solo feature project. Certainly it's her first big feature solo score release. She really went for it and poured her heart into it, and I think you definitely hear that on the album.
Yeah, you do. And watching through, I'll say this all the time in these segments now, folks, because I've been saying it for years. In order for me to accurately, whether I'm writing a review or sitting here talking about it, in order for me to do something with the music, I need to hear it in its context first. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go back and watch the movie. And you're right. With the movie, you got the vocals, you got the sound effects, you got all that stuff. And sometimes the music will get lost, which is kind of sad, but
it's a fact of the business.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I love soundtracks so much, is that I can hear that main title, I can hear that, and I can then go and listen to it and then just take myself through track by track and listen to all of it and remember the scenes of the movie and everything else. Before we get out of here, let's talk about Chase Me.
Yes.
I love Chase Me.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah. For those who don't know, it was the short film that accompanied Mystery of the Batwoman on its video releases, and it's essentially a silent movie. There is no sound effects, no dialogue. It's all music. It's kind of done from kind of Catwoman's perspective, so it's jazzy and playful and just it's all kinds of fun.
Yeah, I think the coolest things that they did with this one is the when it first opens and you have the Bat Watch, and I'm like, oh my god, seriously. I remember when I first watched this on the DVD when it got released. I'm like, yeah, I gotta screen cap that and make that a background because the whole image of the Bat Watch and then the two of them kissing at the end, but the 5 minute and I think is it 5:55? Yeah.
Plus credits. Yeah.
Well, yeah, plus the end credits. Yeah, but the main track 27, is the whole crux of the feature. Just the way that Lolita did the action and the romance in this one track alone, and we can sit here and talk all day about the other 26 tracks from the actual film, but the way that she intertwined it, and it's basically most of this short is Bruce getting away from all of the women in his life, or all of the women that want to be in his life. I was really hoping Vicky Vale would show up somehow, but she didn't.
Well, you don't know. She could have been one of them, right?
Yeah, she could have been one of them. She could have been. But yeah, I mean, and this when this came out, I'm like, oh hey, it's almost got him too.
Yeah, sure.
Because at the end of Almost Got Him, that's what Catwoman says, because everybody's telling the stories of how they almost caught Batman, and I absolutely love Chase Me. I really love this score. Not that I wasn't expecting to not enjoy it, but I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I do.
It works extremely well as pure music. I mean, the short that she was given to it is very kinetic. It's got a really nice rhythm to it. It's kind of that economy of storytelling. They have to make their point in a 5 or 6 minute space, so they do it very efficiently. And the music likewise just kind of moves along at a really nice clip and hits all these moods, and it's just bam, 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 right on cue. It pulls you right along. I like it an awful lot.
No. All right, before we send it back to Steve and the rest of AGU's episode this week, what have you got coming up on your plate?
Oh, gosh. It would take me another 20 minutes just to tell you about all the cool stuff that's coming. Probably most of it I would be risking some serious bodily harm if I were to spill the beans. But
just tell us like the most recent stuff that you can actually talk about.
Well, the thing that I can really talk about, because this one has been informally announced, is Batman the Animated Series Volume 4, which is going to be a 2 CD release. It is going to release the remaining, I believe, 9 scores from the original 65-episode first production season of Batman the Animated Series. They went and did 20 more afterwards, but the first production season was 65 episodes. We released most of that material. Now we're releasing the rest of it. It's going to include a section called the Arkham Archives, which is going to have all the little odds and ends and unreleased tracks and source cues and tidbits and some things that people never even knew existed until now. We're working to get that one out this summer, and I couldn't be more excited. That's we've got a lot more great stuff in the works, so definitely stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Justice League. That's the one thing I want from them is Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Hope springs eternal, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, where can the people find you online? Are you on Twitter or any of that stuff?
You can find me at johntakis.com, JOHNTAKIS.com. Although I have been remiss in updating the blog aspect, you can usually see my current project off to the left sidebar. I'm on Facebook, and on Twitter it is at John Takis. So
awesome. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this week here in the La La Land Lounge. I am not sure what I'm doing. Oh, next week. Yeah, next week I know what I'm doing. Duh. Because I already said this. It's going to be Flash Season 1 and Arrow Season 3, since those two scores have the Flash versus Arrow Parts 1 and Part 2 for both of the second discs on those from La La Land Records. You can head over to lalalandrecords.com right now, and as of this recording, autograph copies supposedly are still available for Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. I will have Steve put the link in the show notes to head on over to the website to pick up the soundtrack. If you've seen the movie before, if you want to experience the music outside of the movie, please go pick this up. You really, really do want to check this out, especially if you've seen Chase Me. I know it's the main film is supposed to be the thing. I'm sorry, that's just the one. It's like when you guys put all the news cues and the Joker, like all the source cues.
It's the cherry. It's the cherry on top, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's the cherry on top of the sundae. So we're gonna head out of here at the La La Land Lounge. I will catch you guys next week. Thank you so much, John, for taking the time to chat with me.
My pleasure.
We will catch you next time.
This is composer Lola Rhythmanis and Dynamic Music Partners. You are listening to the GeekCast Radio Network.
Thank you, everyone, for stopping by the La La Land Lounge here on GeekCast Radio. If you've enjoyed this, please let me know. You can follow me or message me on Twitter at TFG1Mike. That's really the best way. Or you can go to Facebook.com/TFG2Mike. You can do that or post on the website on GeekCastRadio.com. Thank you so much to Matt Verbois from LALA LAND Records for giving me the opening promos for this. And yeah, that's the LALA LAND Lounge for this episode. Tune in next time when we will be talking about The Flash Season 1 score and Arrow Season 3. And for that episode, I will have Steve Megatron on with me. So we're going to be Flash and Arrow next time, folks. Make your great escape into soundtracks. No, that doesn't sound right at all. Unleash the geek in you, and we will catch you next time.